knowledge, ideas, jobs, and opportunity. No child should be hungry. We depend on each other. And I'm the new president of the World Bank. No surprise, the economic crisis in the rich countries is on many people's minds. Engelbert from Tanzania says that it affects the rest of the world, and especially developing countries. Developed countries must recognize the impact their action or inaction can have on the poorest countries. In this interconnected world, decisions in Europe have real impact on the most vulnerable around the world. As president of the World Bank, I'm particularly worried about the impact on developing countries. Since 2008, we've invested over $300 billion to support lower and middle-income countries to weather the crisis. So what are the things we do? We make sure that children can stay in school. We make sure that health clinics stay open. We've done a lot of work on food security, including providing food directly in times of crisis. Now, an issue that many of you care about and one of the top topics on our Facebook pages. Roman from Germany asks, how can we ensure that economic growth translates into jobs and opportunities? As I've talked to people across the world, the issue of jobs is at the top of everyone's agenda. This is because jobs determine what we earn, how we prosper and develop, and often who we are. At the World Bank, we're making a new push to understand how to create jobs, and how to create jobs that are good for development and society. Our next World Development Report examines this very issue. And beyond that, we're working with countries to protect and create good jobs during the global crisis, by helping companies to find sufficient credit to grow, by connecting them to markets through better and more reliable infrastructure, by ensuring that workers have social protection and access to skills and training, and by supporting self-employment and entrepreneurship. If there's one thing we've learned, it's that there is no silver bullet to creating good jobs. Veronica Cho from Korea sends us this message on Twitter. She believes that investing in girls can break the cycle of poverty. Veronica, I agree with you. As you might know, the World Bank published a World Development Report on gender and development last year, and it found that gender equality is not only the right thing to do, but key to breaking the cycle of poverty. This is why we launched a global Think Equal campaign. I'm wearing the button right now. Many girls face inequality because their mothers and grandmothers did, and often, particularly in poorer countries, many think that this is just the way it's supposed to be. But we found that when you prevent the repetition of gender inequality across generations through assistance, economic opportunities, and political voice, you also reduce poverty. Much progress has been made. More girls are going to school than ever before. Finally, maternal deaths are decreasing, and more women are getting land titles that increase their income. But we have so much more to do. We're looking at making all development policies gender smart. Already, a very high percentage of our lending and grants are informed by how they would affect gender inequality, with the aim to improve the lives of women and girls. We want to increase this number even further. We really think it's the right and the smart thing to do. A question from Stefan in Ghana. How can we clamp down on child malnutrition? Of all the symptoms of poverty, child malnutrition is one of the most heartbreaking. I saw a lot of it when I worked with poor communities in Latin America and Africa. When children don't get enough to eat, especially when they're very young, they don't grow, their brains don't develop fully, and they may never catch up. And the only reason why this happens is that their parents, mainly their mothers, don't have the means to provide enough food. They're simply too poor. Malnutrition is not just a health issue. It's an economic issue, and it's also a moral issue. It's about not having work. It's about bad infrastructure. It's about not having education. It is about better development. We must all make a moral commitment in this day and age to ensure that every child has enough food to eat. We're looking at how we can connect the dots. The World Bank is working with countries to provide affordable and effective safety nets. We make sure that children can stay in school. We make sure that health clinics stay open to see children. We've done a lot of work on food security and sustainable approaches to agricultural development. We reached people in 83 countries through these programs and tripled the volume of assistance since the global financial crisis put so many people at risk. Our focus will always be on the most vulnerable, children and single mothers, as well as the elderly. So you're right, and we agree, and we should all agree, no child should be hungry.